Oh yes, legends. I hope you're doing it absolutely fantastic and having a great day today. Let's analyze the situation all together because it is exciting. It is exciting, guys. Eventually, we are looking for a little bit of a bounce, a bit of a recovery, and eventually the recovery will give us all of the information. Timing that low is very, very complex. As explained the last few days, we did drop down a few $1,000s. It's getting a little bit punchy and a little bit difficult, guys. Eventually, trying to get into longs into this movement to the downside, even though we do realize that a move to the upside inevitably is going to happen, right? It's just stay very, very cautious with trying to long here the lows, okay, or trying to detect those lows. This is the moment where a lot of people get burnt, okay? There are a few scenarios that will be easier to detect, guys, okay? There will be a few scenarios that will be easier to detect, all right, to look for that significant recovery. Unless you're really going through the lower time frames and you are detecting the micro counts here on, the possible waves to the downside, then eventually, it's super, super complex. It's super, super complex to really spot the exact low where it is as we are getting this movement to the downside, right? It's not an easy task, let's say. It's not an easy task. So, something interesting that I wanted to discuss here is, there is a possibility right now. I've been doing some Elliot Wave micro counts, right? Which is only for the people that have a little bit of a spare time just to try and figure out where we at right now with this movement to the downside. And it's literally, looking like something like this, to try and detect, to see if this is a completed move to the downside already, right? Because there's no doubt that the highest amount of volume, looking at the higher time frame, we've got a nice spike here in the middle. The highest amount of volume, getting away from the 15-minute. This is the 15-minute time frame, which is really zooming in here on the price action. But the highest amount of volume is in this cluster when you do take a look at the 30-minute, 1 hourly time frame, right? We can't go to the daily time frame because literally just going to have a couple of candles here. We can't take a look at the volume like that. We need to start zooming in at the 30-minute, 15-minute. And this is what we get, right? We get that nice little move down. Then we get the biggest move with high volume. And then we understand that this zone is where you're slowing down, right? The bigger move has already happened. And that's where you literally want to see the price slowing down. We came down yesterday. We did hit the gap, got a little reaction, but we continued a couple of $1,000s to the downside. I do not expect a capitulation from this area, right? A capitulation, down to $80,000 is not expected. Of course, this momentum is a little bit shaky, and it becomes very, very complex to get into a long, guys. I have to say the CME gap, we got slightly above it, got a little reaction, but ultimately continued to the downside. It is better to stay away, basically, because if you are, unless you're managing risk on a different scale here, and you're happy and you have enough funds to scale in, and you're happy with, if the price does go down and break down to the downside, which has a lower probability, we are looking for that reversal bounce. And I'm going to explain in detail what needs to be seen, guys, because it's very, very hard to catch the low. People are you're going to be extremely confused when you do take a look at other channels. Eventually, most of the channels are just going to be going through, the 50 weekly moving average, and it's broken, it's confirmed, bear market, we are going lower. We actually, day traders looking for intraday setups that could last a few days potentially. And, a lot of people are like really not understanding what's happening in this area. I understand that breaking down very aggressively throughout the next coming days is low probability. Of course, the choppiness and dropping a few $1,000s is what is exhausting eventually, right? When you consider taking that long, because we've been bearish throughout the last couple of weeks. We've been bearish as we were moving to the downside. We were looking at the price action to claim the local lows below $99,000, maybe get to 98, 96, right? Overall, analyze the breakdown, but ultimately, get down to those levels. And now it's where we're getting the continuation to the downside, which we are really labeling a few scenarios here, which is just slowly grinding down to get that bounce on the slightly higher time frames, right? Not too interested on the 5-15 minute bounces. We need a pretty nice relief where we can analyze the structure, just like we did last week here, at the beginning of last week, where we analyzed this bounce. We understood that there's a higher chance with this bounce that we could look for that lower high and roll over. Same as we were creating these small little lower highs throughout end of last week to look for the third wave breakdown. Of course, we've had the third wave, 4-5. It's getting a bit punchy. It is getting a bit punchy, but it's gearing up for a bounce, guys. It is really gearing up for a bounce, especially when you understand the volume, where the volume has had the biggest amount of volume without counting the capitulation that we had from all-time high. We're counting literally here the volume from this movement down and this bounce and then this movement to the upside, to the downside, continuation, which has decreasing volume, right? We ain't counting this little volume that we have here. And that's important to understand. That is super important to understand, that you have a decreasing volume on this move from this latest move down that we had 2 weeks ago, which is just signaling the exhaustion of the downtrend, okay? Ever since we got below 99K, right? 96, 95, that's the overall speculation. Of course, if you're attempting to catch the lows, it's gonna be complex, right? Trying to catch the double bottom. We did not double bottom. We came down to the CME gap. We got below the CME gap, and it didn't technically act as support. We formed a little consolidation yesterday night and then just formed another low of a couple of $1,000s. If you're using high leverage and you're trying to catch the bottom here, it's gonna be a nightmare for you, right? I rather stay away and have a little bit of more clarity here, because it is very, very challenging. Even though the highest probability is looking for a relief rally, you can chop the lows a couple of $1,000s, which is going to be frustrating eventually, unless you short every single bounce. But I want to explain why shorting the bounces now, a bigger relief is gearing up, guys, okay? So you might think, well, it should have been better to short every single bounce, right, throughout the last few days. We talked about shorting this zone, we talked about shorting this zone, we talked about claiming the low. But once this wave has happened, we look for the exhaustion, a little bit of volatility, claim the lows a couple of $1,000s. I'm not expecting a capitulation down here, right, to 75K, right? We got a lot of people already calling for, below 80K, 75K, we're going to nuke down. And that's low probability. The probabilities are low. Of course, we could chop the lows a few times. And this is where it's in your best interest to understand that a larger relief rally, which will be explained on the stream, is on the, it's gearing up. It is gearing up here, okay? I got my golf cap today, guys, because I've got a bit of a messy hair. And I don't want to do a live stream with a bit of a messy hair, right? So we'll keep the golf cap on. But anyway, a bit of shadow there on my face, but nothing, no, I don't think anybody cares really, to be honest. Yes, we're gonna, it becomes dangerous right now, even though throughout the last couple of weeks, let me turn that music down because it's still Tuesday, right? We'll turn the music up on Friday. It's great to short the bounces, without a doubt, if you can detect them, right? But this was last week and the previous week. It was okay to short the bounces. But down here, it's going to be it's challenging. I'll let you know one thing. We are at resistance. This is resistance. You got a little tiny little swing failure pattern from this lower high. Okay, it's good entries. where this lower high is that we created early this morning or late last night, depending on where you are, we are hitting the previous day value area low, previous day point of control, the daily open, and that's where the price is struggling to get above. Session volume profile, right? Yesterday's previous value zone, which, you know, it is resistance. It's getting a reaction. We got a quick SFP. I'm not interested in shorts in this area of resistance. We're consolidating and we're wicking the highs. A lot of people potentially, you know, already see this as a shorting area. And this is where we really need to zoom out and understand, I'm not kind of interested anymore to short the bouncers here. You know, I'm rather looking for longs. Of course, longs, you know, are very, very tricky unless you're doing advanced Elliot Wave theory on the 15-minute time frame and you're really detecting that move down, that it's coming to its end stages, because you have the 1, 2, 1 and 2. That's crystal clear here, right? Double 1, 2, because the bigger move where you create, you know, an individual move apart from this momentum happens here. That's all easy, clear, right? Then when you get to the 4, 5 is where it gets a little bit complex, because you don't know how big that fifth wave is going to be. That's first of all. You can have projections using Fibonacci, but you know, it's not an exact level where you are going to get that bounce. Okay, there's never an exact level. You can speculate on extensions or using Fibonacci, local levels of support, which we kind of swept all of them. We have the bear market narrative at the moment, right? This is perfect, guys. This is the perfect reset. And you know, for the bounce, you got the death cross, right? I've seen death cross back and forward on X today. Death cross on the higher time frame, right? Death cross lagging indicator, that usually gets a bounce. That usually gets a relief rally when you get the death cross signal. It's it's crossing when all of the fear has happened and the drops have happened, right? It's the most crappy indicator ever. The death cross, you know, who gives a damn? That's actually a long indicator, because it's so lagging behind of several weeks before the crash even after the crash happened, right? Or the correction in this case. You're in a no major crash. You know, it's moving down. You know, a bit aggressive, but I wouldn't consider this a major crash. It's just slowly moving down in a little bit of a staircase. A few aggressive moves down. Okay, well, let's be honest. But everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people are kind of throwing the towel, guys. They're throwing the towel. 50-week moving average. There's no doubt in my mind that we are going to come up to get to the 50-weekly moving average, where you're going to get a lot of people talking about, are we going to get above it? Are we going to see it as resistance? Is the bull market resuming? There will be that relief rally that we need to understand and analyze if it is a proper sign of strength, which is going to happen as explained in the last couple of days ever since we got below 99k. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a little bit complex. That wave 5 on the lower time frame, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy to detect this. But, just going step by step here, just so you understand. What is clear? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Then when it's get choppy in this zone, you claim the lows. We can claim the lows again. And this movement down yesterday, it did get over a $2,000 move from the lows. So it was a little bit aggressive, I have to say. But as mentioned, we are looking for the last wave formation before we get that bounce to, very likely at a bare minimum right now, based on the projection that we had to the downside, to sweep these lower highs, which is around about $98,000. I do see the price of Bitcoin coming up to $98,000 in the next coming days. It's just it's super simple to understand. It's the most common thing once you get a downtrending market and an impulse. It's very common to get that relief rally, to get above the fourth wave. Extremely common. So, it's a good realistic projection that we can look for the next coming days. Long in here is where it becomes complex, right? You need a bit of a sign of strength. We are moving up right now, and we can analyze, you know, how we move up here throughout today and tomorrow. And I will explain a couple of the scenarios, and it's really remaining patient. Whoever catched the low, congratulations, right? But you know, we were talking about yesterday about, you know, claiming the local lows here at just under $93,000, and we did drop a few $1,000s. We had the CME gap at 92, and it dropped a few more $1,000. Whoever's using high leverage and trying to catch the bottom here is obviously going to panic. If you're using low leverage and you're happy to enter with 1-2%, you know, at CME gap, or you're really reading the momentum here, because what makes more sense here, after this wave 3, because you have a double 1-2 here, hear me out guys, because you have a 1-2-1-2, then you have the third wave, then it's trying to detect your 4 and 5, right? Which in this case, we are looking for 2 4-5s because we have 2 1-2s. So after the third wave, you need a 4-5 and a 4-5. Then we're looking for reversal. Of course, the 4-5s become difficult. Sometimes you can double bottom, triple bottom, right? It was the main idea yesterday, but we got a breakdown beneath that level, so it wasn't the best to actually enter the market. Just let the price leave, right, as it breaks support, which is super important. That's one of the most challenging things for the people out there, to just accept that a level has been broken. Accept it, let the price go, form another bottom formation, right, or see signs of reversal potentially, because, you know, people really struggle. I used to struggle with this a lot. And you know what's the best thing is just, if you break a level, I don't want to be in a trade, right? There's been so many times in the past, and it happens to everyone, guys. I can tell you, I'm 100% certain it happens to everybody, especially if you know, unexperienced, you've been, you know, the first 2-3 years of trading. You're always going to have the devil, right? You have the angel and the devil. The angel is going to say, sit on your hands. You have no clue what you're looking at, and you're breaking the levels. Don't be in the trade. And then you're going to have the devil saying, come on, just add margin. You know, it's going to reverse at some point. So, you know, be brave. Scared money don't make money. You know, it's going to reverse at some point. And then eventually you're going to use high, you know, lot of margin. You're going to add to the position, and we should be reversing from here. So, you know, I'm going to add to the position. And if you use too much leverage, the price is going to just move down a little bit more than what you expected, and eventually, right, you know, hurt you, right? So you always need to kind of listen to the angel most of the times. And it is true that you are going to miss some opportunities sometimes. You know, it happens to me consistently, but I rather miss some opportunities than get into a bad trade setup. You can manage this differently. Also, I'm just talking about the high leverage people that are using 50x or 100x, right? And they're going to add 10, 20, 30% of their margin, right, of their capital. And they end up, you know, really getting underwater very quickly. The people that are using a 10, 20x leverage and they're using 1%, they're happy to add another 1-2% in the zone. They'll be like, you know, that's totally fine. I can handle that. But yeah, the people that are using high leverage eventually, you know, they get washed out, okay, with a little bit of a more of an aggressive move. So anyway, analyzing this scenario, what is clear is that, you know, the wave 3, this is the wave 3, right? The highest amount of volume in that range, okay? We're not getting these spikes. We're looking at the average big volume here on the move. We're not counting this spike, because when you go to the higher time frame, such as, you know, the 30-minute time frame, if you wish, you see that the highest amount of volume is in this area anyway, right? You can see the largest spikes, not sure if you guys can see that clearly, is in this movement to the downside. And this volume right over here is less. It's decreasing volume, okay? And that's what you get. You get boom, 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 big move, and then the choppiness, and the volume decreasing, and then it's time for the reversal. You know, you're looking for that reversal to be actually, you know, on the formation here. So when you do a little bit of micro count, this is what I was doing this morning, and I was just letting the legends know that there's a good potential that the low is in here. There is a good possibility that the low is in here. So you just consider looking at the, you know, Elliot Wave counts here on the lower time frame, where you can actually figure out this scenario, because when you have this low with the biggest move down, which is pretty obvious here, the wave 3, you're looking for that fourth wave. Fourth waves are usually longer than your wave 2s, or similar in price action, in time, sorry, similar in time. Also, well, not price action, they are shorter, but in timing, they are usually a little bit longer, or at least the same as your wave 2, most commonly. So you can see after forming this wave that you had a little bit of an extension here on timing, and then you form one more low. When you have this extension in time from the low and you claim that low, you already need to consider, we got 145. We already got one, right? So the thing here is your second 4 and 5. It is also common to not get above your first 4, 5, right? When you have 1, 2, 1, 2, it is common as well to form a lower high on your 4, 5s. It is common. You can claim above the fourth wave of the lower time frame, but it's common not to claim it. Now, this is what, you know, this is what has been a little bit challenging throughout the last 2 days, right? Ever since we were calling, you know, to claim the lows below 99K, which, you know, continued aggressively to the downside. And when you do, you know, when you do take a look at the higher time frame wave 5, because look, technically, I'm not sure if you guys can see this clearly. It might be a little bit too small, and maybe this might be a little bit too big. But anyways, just so you can see it a little bit clear. All of this price action from this wave 3, right? All of this, just so you can see how the waves are developed. All of this movement right over here is where you have drop, bounce, bigger drop, sideways long momentum, perfect for your wave 4, shallow in retracement, claim the low one more time. You can see that in your wave 3, you literally have a perfect 5-wave move to the downside. If you have your first 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, your second 1, 2 is part of the third wave, what you're looking at is another 4 and 5. And because this wave 3, this last 4 and 5 right over here, is part of your wave 3, it is actually natural to see the wave 5 here, the last wave 5, being a little bit more aggressive, because it's part of your larger, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, you know, it just moved down a bit more aggressive than the latest ones, and these are, it is hard to detect, I have to say. You know, it is a bit challenging to detect the exact low. You can have an idea that you are going to probably bottom out soon, but it's challenging because it could break down a few more thousand than you expected. So sometimes I've seen the second 4 and 5 just form a clear double bottom, right? Not breaking down very aggressively and reclaiming the low of the previous 5th wave, part of your 3rd wave. In this case, we did drop down a few more $1,000, right? Getting even below $99,000. So, yeah, it's just extended a little bit longer. And for all of the, people that are using Elliot Wave theory and really understanding this movement to the downside, when you do take a look at that lower high right over here, because this bounce, you did have a 3-wave move, you like it or not, you did claim that high. So your next move to the downside doesn't start from here, it starts from here. And this is where you really get into the lower time frames, which can be not incredibly reliable, right? It's not, lower time frames can confuse a lot, and it can be very, very challenging. But ultimately what you got in here is your first leg down, your bounce, okay? Then your wave 3, then your wave 4, which is long in time, as you can see here. Long in time, that's what we like to see on your wave 4. You're not overlapping your wave 1. Perfect, that's what you want to see. And then you get your 5th wave. And unless you are detecting this on the lower time frame, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I mean, to catch the low, yeah, I mean, you can add to your position. You can get into longs here. You got limit longs, and that's all okay. But when you consider, getting into the ultimate low because of the Elliot Wave theory, right? You're literally, right, getting into the sweet spot. You need to be very active, of course, right? But you can detect that movement, right? You can detect the end stages of the 5th wave, because when you have a double 1, 2, and you have a 3, and you're looking for the double 4 and 5, you need to get the 5th wave of the 5th wave of the 5th wave. And what do I mean by that? Well, you are slowly looking at the 5th wave here. You zoom in on the 15-minute, 5-minute time frame, and it's your job, right, to basically to detect the perfect entry zone. And the reason why I say the 5th wave of the 5th wave of the 5th wave is because inside of this movement down from here, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? And then inside of the 5th wave, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're detecting the 5th, small little 5th wave from the larger 5th wave, from the ultimate 5th wave to the downside from the beginning of the move, right? So it eventually becomes challenging, and it's not easy eventually, but the possibility of forming a low here, as we were getting the bounce today, I let the people in the legends, with this count, it's possible that this has been the local low basically. So this is what is important right now, which we are going to go in detail, guys, is this bounce and how different, the different movements that we are looking at here. So we can try and spot, is it a good sign of strength? Can we get to a nice move up? Can we get a solid entry, right? Or is it a corrective move up, which we are obviously going to try and detect now on the lower time frame. So bear with me here, legends. I have to say one thing, the contracting diagonal to the downside has been invalidated. It has been invalidated. The contracting diagonal that we were talking about throughout the last few days, which was the most interesting scenario, has been invalidated. Okay, this one right over here, you did hit invalidation for this pattern. So we need to figure out what other scenarios on the higher time frame are possible. And I think we do have time. I'll go through the lower time frame right now just to discuss the levels, the confluence, and how we can build up the map, the possible map for this bounce, because I do strongly believe once we are done, which we could have been done already here, that we are looking for a significant relief rally to 98k plus, right? I would say even 100k. I think the relief rally would be much larger. But eventually, with this move up, you don't want to get into a long at the highs, right, of this mini pump that we've had on the lower time frame, right? I would say, well, is this the confirmation? This is not a level that I would long eventually, because we are hitting resistance zones. But I want to explain how I would like the price to develop that will happen at some point. Okay, there's many different scenarios, and it's just detecting it, guys. I need to be in front of the chart and in the perfect moment on a live stream, so we can detect those opportunities, right? Like the last few days, this is one of them, right? Last week I had 107k. We are detecting the bounce. We have something here, guys, to look for a short. And just a few days as well, analyzing the downtrend. Unfortunately, as explained yesterday, we need that information, right? We need a bit more information. We realize that the lows are going to be claimed. No longs to be taken in this area. If it forms a higher low, it is what it is. We're looking for the lows to be claimed. If you do double bottom, it could be an option. If you don't, you just let it go to lower prices. Seriously, you just let it go. Let it go if it does not reclaim successfully the low. If you're under, if you're under that level, forget about it. There will be more clarity in the next 24 hours of what the heck is going on. And this is what I forwarded today in the legends, saying we actually now have the potential for the low to be in right now in this area as we were getting the bounce. So, the bounce is happening right now, and this bounce is going to be what we are going to be analyzing, and the different possible moves that can be developed. I do not know which one it's going to be, guys. I don't have a crystal ball. I know how it can move, and I can give you 2 or 3 options on how it can move, so you get ready if you have time, if you're in front of the chart, set alerts, understand the levels of confluence as well, and maybe take the shot once everything aligns up, because this is what we do on the channel. We prepare a few plans, always considering the bearish case and the bullish case. I'm not a fan right now of trying to short this bounce, guys. I can tell you already. We were okay in shorting the bounces throughout last week. Yes. You start breaking down. We need to start looking for the price to slow down, analyze the waves, and obviously speculate on, yeah, we're going to chop the lows a few times here, but a relief rally is going to gear up here. Don't expect the $75,000 that your favorite influencer said, and that this bear market, we've broken the 50 weekly moving average, and we've got the death cross, and we have extreme fear. Oh, that's the perfect recipe to get the bounce anyway, even though Elliot Wave theory is helping us to really see the momentum slowing down and get that reversal. You're going to start seeing bear market talk, across through, all social platforms, right? Basically, right? Based on Bitcoin, which obviously they just want attention. They just want to create the attention and the fear. I'll tell you what, in a few days, we'll recover very, very likely to above $98,000. You're going to start seeing some thumbnails of, bull market's back or whatever. We'll be still heavily downtrend. There is a bearish case scenario that I want to discuss, but it's not the way, guys. It's not the way, right? Who's tired? Who's tired of, these different characters on YouTube? I tell you what, you need to stay professional. Try and stay. I like to have a good time and, obviously create those thumbnails and those, because it does work. It does get some attention. Because if I just put a chart and, a boring voice on the live streams, people are going to leave. People are going to say, yeah, what a boring thumbnail, what a boring title, technical analysis Bitcoin. You need to hype it up a little bit. You need to give it a little bit of spice, but you obviously need to come with a good reason of explaining, why we are looking for a reversal here on this movement. Right, to the downside, which is going to give us all of the information to see how high can we go, what are the levels that we need to pay attention, and I'm going to explain them now, okay? throughout today. I just wanted to really zoom in on this movement to the downside, which is pretty nice. And yeah, how can the price develop, right? How can it develop? Because I can't tell you, bull market, we go to all-time high. I can tell you there's a good chance we get to to the 98K region, maybe even slightly higher to 100K zone, that's high probability based on this information that we have here. And, now it's obviously knowing to enter and managing risk very, very well on some positions. This is what we really try and do. So bear with me here. I haven't gone to the comment section, sorry. Focus on the game, lad. Everything I tune in this guy is either hating on other influencers which do the same thing he does, or crying for likes. Man, piss off. I'm just saying the truth, man. Focus on the game, lad. Piss off. I'll tell you what. Screw you. Anyway, keep up the good work, champ. Yeah. We try and do our best. Devil, my man, much love to you, brother. You won't find this education analysis anywhere else on YouTube. Yeah, thanks for the support, my man, Devil. Go and check out Devil, guys. He's an awesome educator as well. Great technical analysis and, different projections as well. Shout out to you, Devil. Much love to you. Anyway, I've got a lot of comments here, but let's be honest. Let's go straight into the meat and potatoes and screw that salam alaikum guy. Get out of here, What is this? This guy. It's just the truth, man. Piss off. Anyway, let's go right away through these scenarios. So let's start off with higher time frame. Let's get an open mind, an open projection, okay, of what could happen, right? Most bearish case scenario is anyway, yeah, I would love to go through the comment section, guys, but we need to crack on here because I know this is a little bit of a show as well, and we like to go through comment section and we like to make, my man, much love to you. I am CG Beat. Much love to everybody. Colin, Kused, much love, guys. Much love to everybody, okay? I wish I could go through the comment section, but a lot of people come here to see what's going on with Bitcoin and how we can map the situation and see the different... careful, Andy, so you don't explode. Yeah, Viking boat. Yeah, well, let's crack on. Hello to everybody, okay? I'll go through rude words. Sorry, man. I mean, me or him? Andy Legit Trader. Divine Hood, much love to you, brother. I will fix it, this legend. All right, enough is enough, guys. Let's talk about what the heck is going on here because, man, a relief bounce is very, very likely, okay, of several $1,000s. Capitulating down from this point is like low probability, right? That's something that we need to understand when we need to have a balance, right? What's the bias that you have? Because, you can get misled by absolute panic because we broke the 50 weekly moving average. And we are technical lower time frame, traders and analysts, right? We consider the higher time frame, but we understand, the lower time frame, which is obviously a much harder technique that you're not going to see in much places, right? You're going to see the daily time frame, the weekly, the 4-hourly, bigger order blocks and stuff like that. We try and be the cherry on top, right? If we can. I'm not saying that I am. I try and be that cherry on top, which is looking for the lower time frame scenarios, right? I try my best. Sometimes I just talk. I go comment section and a bit, not organized, but traders are not well in the head, most of them. So I would consider that. Right. Let's start off here with the higher time frame because eventually, we broke down so many major levels of support, which doesn't really matter, right? Doesn't really matter that you close the weekly on higher time frame. You could expect it, but a relief rally on the lower time frame is, kind of inevitable. You're going to get so much on the higher time frame, 50 weekly moving average, death cross, a lot of higher time frame things, and they are bearish, which is followed by a bullish bounce. All of this narrative on the higher time frames technical analysis is almost always followed by a big relief rally. And we understand that that relief rally on the lower time frame is without doubt cooking. Bearish scenarios, considering the movement down from all-time high, because I couldn't care less of the moving average, higher time frame. We are still on macro higher lows here. We like it or not, right? We will try our best to detect if the bounce that is gearing up for the next coming days will be a corrective bounce. And I will be happy, guys, to say I'm expecting lower. I'm expecting the lows to be hit again. I will be happy to say that, because depending on the bounce, depending on what kind of bounce we do form from this range to the upside, we will understand if it is a good sign of strength, and we do expect higher, and it will be in our interest to long the corrective moves down if we do get them. So it's going to be, this is a patience game. We need obviously a lot of information, and the most bearish scenario is forming a multiple 1-2 here, guys. Okay, is forming a multiple 1-2. This is the most bearish scenario that could happen for Bitcoin. You're literally just rolling down here, and obviously this goes to lower prices. We don't care about the 3, 4, 5s because they're not in yet. But you're literally looking for a corrective bounce, okay, throughout the next coming days, which we will try and identify, because we could form something similar to the price action that we formed last week. Maybe we get something similar to this on the bounce. And obviously we will detect how it's potentially not looking that great. But we need that information. Just as we had the information when we did a live stream last week, it was just like perfect timing, right? I like this structure. This could be the latest move up on an ABC. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got lots of confluence at 107.5. We had a naked point of control. We had the value area low from a little range that we had the previous week. And, everything pointed out that this could be the lower high at 107K. So unfortunately, we can talk about the resistance, but we obviously need that information on the bounce. We need the price action to develop this bounce to understand if there is a high probability of this being a wave 2. Overlappy structure, low volume on the momentum up, and, obviously, trying to detect that momentum. So in a nutshell, this is the most bearish case. I will understand the information once we get it. Your level to reject on this wave 2 would be, let's take a look at the previous, would be basically in between the 50% and the 7/8 Fibonacci. This would be the zone that you would want to see that wave 2 reject, basically. And this is where it becomes hard. This is where you need to understand, well, where do we have the biggest levels above us, right? Where is the biggest levels to take into consideration as naked point of controls, right? What confluence eventually, where we have this, we don't have much. We don't really have, this is why I don't have them on the chart. No major naked point of control here to the upside. You'd have to go with order block, 4 hourly order block right over here that has not been tested, which is slightly above the 50% Fibonacci, and in between 50%, right, and the golden pocket. This is going to be an interesting area. You also have the lows right over here from last week. Okay, right over here you have these lows. It just could be a simple resistance, support resistance flip area. You got that 4 hourly order block. Not much levels, considering naked point of control. But this is getting all the way up above 98k, right? Could be hitting 100k, which is the general idea we had in the last 2 days, right? After bottoming out here, likely going to get that bounce to above the fourth wave, which is, you know, just above 97k zone, and, you know, obviously get a little bit more of a push up. You know, this is like almost guessing. We got an order block on the 4-hourly time frame. Okay. We got the lows of last week, right, which is sitting at 99k's area. Okay, cool. We got 50%. We got golden pocket. Which one's going to get the rejection? You know, which one is it going to be? You know, we don't really know. Once you get that development here, and you know, we do have at least one wave, one correction, and that movement to the upside. You know, that's when you go to the 5-15 minute time frame, and we try and detect the exact moment where the price could really top out with levels in, you know, of confluence, and that is the high probability trade setup, right? To look for the short. But as technical analysts and traders, we adapt to the conditions of the market. We adapt on what the information gives us, right? With the information that we had in the last few days, I was bearish. You know, I was looking for the breakdown below 99k. The question here is, will we bounce at, you know, 98, 96? You got a higher low. You got the point of control of 2024, 2025, which I was very vocal about. But when you're breaking down, you need to understand you're going to get the wave 3, 4 choppiness, and the 4 5s. You're going to chop down the lows a few $1,000s before you get that bounce, because it's classic. It's just what happens, right? People want to long eventually the lows, and it's going to be very challenging for those that are using very high leverage and irresponsible way of trading, right? When you're rolling down and you're downtrending, we're going to have signals of a reversal, which we did have since we formed this 3-wave down on Friday. You know, we are going to chop down the lows here, and then we're going to bounce. You know, so yeah, the drop down did get a couple of $1,000s from the recent lows of Sunday, right? So it did drop down a few $1,000s, which is, you know, makes it challenging without a doubt. It depends on the trader. It really depends on the trader. If you use a lot of leverage and a lot of capital, you're going to get wrecked. You're trying to catch a bottom. When you bottom catching, you just want to go with very low leverage, low capital, give a bit of room. You know, if we have the idea, or go on the 5-minute time frame and really start, you know, using your Elliot Wave skills on the lower time frame, which is literally this, right? Use your Elliot Wave skills to try and detect that really, really low bottom, which is not for everybody, of course, right? It's not for everyone, but it does help you to actually get that edge, guys, because you can use the death, you know, the death cross, right? Or you can use, you know, Elliot Wave theory is without a doubt the cherry on top, guys. You know, especially when you're going on lower time frame, which you ain't going to see much people do it. Maybe not, maybe nobody, right? On very low time frames, because, you know, that's where you get the meat and potatoes, right? If you want to be different, if you want to be different from the others, you need to go into the rabbit hole and lower time frame and really try and discuss. You know, I could easily go with, you know, moving up here, we're looking for a little bear flag. We're above the, you know, 5-minute moving average, and, you know, all good. Let's all long here, stop loss here. You know, we're pumping, so we're likely going to go higher. You know, let's all just jump into longs because we're above this moving average that we have here. And, you know, we're going to target the pole of this, you know, potential little flag that we form. And then, you know, yeah, we ain't going to do that BS, guys. We're not doing that BS here. So anyway, let's discuss. You know, we were on the higher time frame, understanding that, you know, the bearish case scenario is literally. We got a lot of deleting messages here. What's going on? Oh man, you know what? I forgot to get the Yeah, guys, I forgot to put the 5 seconds on the comment section. Sorry for the moderators. I can see Devil already giving a hand here with that timed out. Thank you, my man. I forgot to, holy crap. Yeah, Devil, thanks for that. Yeah, I forgot to put the timer here for the comment section. I'm not sure if it is going to go on now. But guys, don't spam the comment section. I do go through the comment section later on, okay? But don't spam it. Man, this guy. There we go. Oh, he's gone. There we go. Anyway, let's go quickly through the comment section, legends. Okay, thanks for being here. Thanks for smashing up the like button. Let's do a like button recount. Got somebody saying he's only crying for likes, but it's true. Why not? You know, let's get to 200 likes. Come on, guys, we can do this. Let's get to 200, 130 likes, 500 people watching. Share some love, show some support, because, you know, I guess over 500 people watching here do enjoy and do see the potential of how we can project some different scenarios on the chart and be ready for those zones, right? To take a, you know, possible trading opportunity, right? Understanding that, you know, the charts are readable. They are very readable. It's just 90% of the people don't know how to read them, and they'll get crappy indicators on the chart, which is totally fine. You know, I'm not, you know, what can I say? So higher time frame still, legends. Bearish case scenario is that we have a multiple 1-2 setup here, right? Where we look for a possible breakdown in, you know, after getting this bounce. I am not a fan of this scenario, even though I understand we've broke the 50-week moving average. We have gone pretty damn low, but I am more excited for a possible big reversal in the next coming weeks, guys. I am more excited for a bigger reversal, and we will detect the first sign of strength. We will detect it. We understood the last few weeks that this was very likely a corrective bounce. We had an expanding diagonal here and a flat. It looked horrendous, guys. It looked horrible for this to be anything bullish. So high probability that we do claim the low here at 103 at some point in the near future, because the bullish case scenario is, you know, this is highly likely corrective, unfortunately. But, you know, for the people that are mainly holding Bitcoin or looking for longs or only long, this bounce that we had last week, you know, very high probability corrective, especially when we were getting the movements down. So that we will get that information. The information will be printed on the chart in the next coming days. Of course, what could have we speculated throughout yesterday as we were rolling down? Guys, a few more 4-5s. It did go down a little bit aggressive of a few $1,000s, but we are looking for a reversal based on this information that we have on the chart. Right? You're looking for a completion of a wave here from the highs that we formed last week. And as we're chopping down here, just be aware that we could chop the lows a few times. And this was a bit of an aggressive chop of $2,000-3,000, I have to say, right? Well, you need to adapt to the conditions eventually. So we will go in on the 15-minute time frame, guys. Bear with me. We're just pointing out the bearish scenarios. For a multiple 1-2, you're literally looking for the price to top out between the 50% and the 7-8 to just form another lower high. This one hit above 50% Fibonacci from the drop. This one hit just slightly the 50% Fibonacci from this drop. What is the bounce going to be like? Which is going to take a few days to develop, right? Eventually. So that's for another short potentially to claim the lows, right? We will get some kind of information, right? It doesn't have to be from here. We might claim the lows again and then bounce, right? You know, we need, you know, symmetry here. The price action on the chart has a little bit of symmetry. Okay, it has a bit of symmetry, so it's going to take a few days to develop, and then it's when we really spot the waves and do the counting and take into consideration the levels of resistance that we have to maybe get into another short position. By the way, congratulations to the people that shorted. I would say you would want to take most of your profits, whoever shorted last week, either on Tuesday or either on Thursday. Whoever shorted in this zone to claim the lows, most of the profit should be already collected, because a relief bounce is cooking, and we do not know if that relief bounce is going to be a lower high or if it's going to get some steam, right? There's nothing worse than actually understanding that you're going to get a bounce likely in the coming days and you're still in shorts and you haven't taken significant profits, because who knows, maybe that bounce ends up being bullish. And then, people that are still in shorts from last week, take profits, guys. Take those profits if you did get into any shorts last week. Because, we're cooking on the reversal here, potential, which we don't know how it's going to play out. I don't know. We have a few scenarios. The most bearish scenario is getting a corrective bounce into this zone between $98 and $102,000, right? Where you have, the lows, this zone over here, right? We could arguably discuss, we could get a point of control. Not that we have much levels all the way up there. Probably have previous month low and previous week open is sitting around about 103K, which is at 7.8. A little bit too high. I'm not sure if we will get that high on the bounce. We're going to have to see. But anyway, high volume node just above the point of control. We'll see how we get up there. It's going to take some time, guys. I would not expect going to sleep and seeing the price all the way up here in a straight line. Okay, it's going to be choppy. You're going to come down. You're going to come up. We move in waves, right? The price doesn't, price moves in waves. It moves in waves, right? As you can see. I would not expect a V-shaped recovery all the way up above $100,000. So it's going to be choppy. It could be rangy. It probably will slowly get up to that area. But that's what I want at a bare minimum to consider another new short, guys. I'm not too interested here on shorting where we are at the moment, realizing that bounce potential. So your best scenario to consider the short on a higher time frame that could last a few days, just like this one, is analyzing the bounce and how we got up to this zone of 98 to 102K area. We can analyze that once we have that price action. We don't have it for the moment. But this would be the short interest zone for your bearish case scenario. Out of curiosity, I want to see where the anchored VWAP is here. Ooh, anchored VWAP is extremely high from all-time highs, basically. Yeah, we've got anchored VWAP resistance eventually from the last three pivot highs. All-time high one is really, really high up here. The middle one from this high will be coming to the golden pocket point of control. That will be interesting at 100K, $101,000. $101,000 will be the one that has the most confluence likely, with that anchored VWAP climbing down from this pivot, the point of control of this range that we had last week, and the golden pocket. And if we come up there, we get the leg to the upside, we correct down, which that's what we're going to analyze now on the lower time frames, and then we head up here, and we can detect that three-wave move in this zone. We're very possibly going to speculate on the 4-5 into resistance. Obviously, we would be looking for that anchored VWAP also from this pivot high to slowly climb into this area. But we could speculate on the ABC, just like we speculated, or a WXY. It doesn't matter. I don't know what's going to happen. But just like last week, where we were speculating on an ABC here, to get follow through to the downside and continue the downtrend at 107k. Look for that resistance. This could be it. And that's the information that we need, right? That's the information that I need. And the bearish case scenario is another wave 2, lower time frame wave 2 here, that ends up breaking down very aggressively in the next coming weeks, right? And we do really go to 80, 70k. I don't know why, but I'm not feeling that bearish. The reason why is because there's so much bearishness out there that's not making me bearish, right? The problem, you know what makes you bearish? Euphoria, guys. This move to the upside to all-time highs when you are in October, Moonvember, and you anticipate the next month to be bullish as well. Guys, it's Q4 and we should be getting October, November. That's where what is worrying, guys. Let's all get rich together, right? And take that liquidity out of the market all together. Not this time. It was the best shorting signal, right? Now you have the opposite. Now you have bear market, 50 weekly moving average, the death cross, extreme fear, it's over. I'm not saying that, yeah, we could enter a bear market, no doubt. But we need to go level by level. Let's see how we get this bounce throughout the next coming days. Whoever catched the lows, then, good. Not been easy. Not been easy to catch the lows throughout the last few days, right? Last couple of days basically. But whoever catched the lows, then very good. Obviously the highest probability was not to get a big breakdown beneath the recent lows at 92k. But we did move down over $2,000-$3,000 or so, right? Which can be a bit of a significant move eventually. But not capitulating from here was very, very likely. It can be a little bit shaky and So it's going to be interesting how we get up to here, guys. It's going to be interesting. We need to detect some kind of a 3-wave structure, but the level to reject is in between 98 and 102. That's the area eventually. If you want the most bearish case scenario, which I am not a fan of, I am not a fan of the most bearish case scenario and forming another lower high here. And yeah, I mean, that's literally this would be the zone. So let's get up there. This eventually would be a little swing trade, right? You're looking for a lower high. In a few days, you claim the lows again, right? Lower high region, and it's going to take a few days to claim that low and maybe break down. I'm not saying that this is the scenario. I actually prefer the bullish case when there's so much bearishness down here, which is going to be explained right away on the higher time frame. So bear with me. But this would be the rejection zone from higher time frame for the multiple 1-2. Order block, anchored VWAP, 50% to the 618 Fibonacci from this high to the low. You got the point of control of this region. That's literally the zone for the most bearish case scenario to really struggle in this area. So let's get up there. And once we get up there, we can analyze how we got up there, right? How did we get to this area? Because that's what we do. We understand how we got up to this zone where we have the valley area low. There was a naked point of control. We understand how we got up here with the waves to understand the rejection point and the exact entry zones, where to enter, where to put stop loss. We're projecting down below 99k. That's the projection. So when higher time frame, we need a few days for this to develop. Okay, and we need to see if it is possible for this multiple 1-2. We're going to go through the bullish case eventually. You know, we need this information to speculate on this. We are in a bear market. We are not. Yeah, you guys can have a fight because of that. You know, you know, we need to adapt to the market. We need to look for trading opportunities. Okay, most of the opportunities throughout the last 1 to 2 weeks, we had a little cheeky long here, but most of the opportunities were looking for shorts. No, not here, sorry, I can't remember where it was. Somewhere there was one long that we mentioned, but mainly shorts as well, because we're targeting below 99k. That's where you want to collect profits throughout the last few days. And then the longs, we understand that a reversal is bubbling up here, but not easy to catch, you know, a long trade when you're down trending, right? Which it makes it very, very challenging. So we will go through the 15-minute time frame, but this is the bearish case scenario on higher time frame. You just look for another lower high, and if you move up very correctively and you get lots of overlap, you're hitting resistance. If it is choppy, if it is channely, it's just another bear flag, if you wish. It's just another bear flag. So we will see the potential for a multiple 1-2. We will see the potential of, you know, what are the possible movements. But if it is going to be bearish, then you're looking for a big breakdown in the next coming weeks, entering into December, which we will analyze and we'll identify, guys. Hit that like button. Higher time frame, there's not much to, we can't go in detail on the higher time frame. We can go a little bit in detail, but 15-minute, which is coming right now, guys, bear with me, is what we're looking at. Okay, bullish case scenario. This is actually interesting. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Yeah, we actually talked about this a few weeks ago, but we were just considering the X wave a little bit fast in time when we were getting this movement to the downside. Now, you know what is interesting about this? That you actually at the target zone, you actually just tap the 1, 2, 3, 6 area, because in this scenario, and this is the bullish case, because if you have a WXY, you're literally looking for all-time high to be hit at some point in the near future. And I know it might sound silly right now, guys, because yeah, I get it. You're going to see euphoria right over here, and so many people were calling for 130, 128, 150, 100, you know, whatever. A lot of people are going to be screaming bear market here, and a lot of people are going to be calling for 70k, for, you know, I don't know, 60k maybe even. You don't get bearish down here, especially when you understand the waves. Especially when you understand the waves. Yeah, we were bearish last week. That's okay. You know, we had our reasons to get below 99k. But when we got this movement developed, you know, not at the lows, we can be bearish. Okay, we can't be bearish down here. We need to get the information of the bounce, and then if the bounce really sucks, then I'll say, guys, it's not really looking good. I'm prioritizing a move down here. But we'll have to see. But ultimately, we're looking for a relief rally, as explained yesterday. We're not looking for 70k or 75k, at least in the short term. So this scenario on the higher time frame, what we do have is the general idea of a flat, which we can still label. You know, we can still label the flat here. Okay, anybody that's not aware of Elliot Wave theory, flat structure where you do have a zigzag 3-wave structure to the downside, a zigzag move to the upside, and then you have a very sharp 5-wave down to claim, you know, most commonly the lows of your A wave, which we were aware all the way up here at all-time high. This was a main reason why I sold 15% of my Bitcoin here, guys. I'm saying I'm getting out because there is a pretty brutal bearish case here that takes us back below 107k. So yeah, it's euphoric October, no, November. Not that I said that I'm saying that I sold the exact top. I took profits, right? I sold some of my spot bag because it was getting a little bit too hyped at this moment, and we had a bearish projection eventually. So, you know, we want to take some profits eventually. This movement, considering a flat, you know what is good about this? Is that you can have AWXY structure. You can form a wave W if you have a flat, right? You can form a wave W in a flat. And this is higher time frame. This is actually nice. This is good. This takes a lot of time. This does take a lot of time, but we've had a massive rally throughout the last few months, last few years, and this is higher time frame, big. This is, you know, this is perfect scale, by the way. This is a perfect scale. This is a big move up, big correction. Big move up, big correction. Big move up, big correction, guys. It is what it is. You know, just you need to live with it. Yeah, bear market maybe or not. Eventually, you know, we've had an awesome rally for the last few years. You know, I get that we could be at the end stages, but the movement down has the potential to be a corrective move. It has the potential when you label all of this combined. Especially, we talked about this a few weeks ago, you know, this thing about having a three wave to the upside is a trick. It's a trick. It is a trick as long as you maintain above this low. You know, it's a trap here. The trap is set with this three wave move to the upside. Is it a five wave? Is it a three wave? Is it, oh, you know, are we breaking to, you know, I don't know, right? What it does have the potential of is having all of this combined part of a corrective move. We talked about this, the general idea of this movement to the upside being a contracting diagonal to the upside, right? This one right over here. Not sure if you guys can see that, or if I'm in the middle. That was the general idea here, that we had this five wave move to the upside. The beauty about such a big move, guys, to the upside since April, massive move, big move up, big. This is huge. You need something huge as a correction. When you move from $75,000 all the way up to 120K in 3 months, you need a multi-monthly correction. You know, you need a very confusing, rangy structure. Okay, corrective zone. And, you know, this is the good thing about it, you know, that bull market could still be on based on the information that we have on the chart, guys. Yeah, we talk about the bearish case. That's all good. We're going to have to really analyze how we bounce. We understand that a bounce is highly likely, as mentioned. Okay, we got to 89K, right? Contracting diagonal was invalidated, but we were looking for the lows at 92 or 91. You know, we were looking for the lows to be chopped potentially, and it's not going to be easy, but we are looking for the bounce regardless. We ain't looking for a successful breakdown here and capitulate. If we would have capitulated down, you know, $10,000, I would have said, guys, wow, I was not expecting that. I'm sorry. But chopping the lows a few $1,000s, yeah, it's totally fine. That's completely natural. Very, very shaky. With this general idea that it could happen, guys. You know, we're just gonna have to see how we're bouncing. We'll zoom in on the 15-minute, but we have the multiple 1-2 scenario, which is, you know, really breaking down here, as explained. forming a lower high between $98 and $102,000, really struggling at resistance. It's going to take a few days to get up there, and we'll follow up. But the higher time frame bearish case scenario is forming a lower high from 107.5k high of last week, right? It's forming another lower high, and this, if we are going to bounce very correctively and very choppy, which I believe not, I'm leaning more on the bullish side, guys. I'm zooming out and I'm leaning more on the bullish side. Still, this could be corrective. I can change my mind completely depending on how we bounce up in these days. I understand that a bounce is coming. Last week we bearish, claimed 99k. The last 2 days we're going to slow down here, guys, and we're likely going to get a relief rally. So we need that information on the relief rally. I'm sorry to say, I need that information. We trade based on information on the chart. If you don't have it, yeah, you can speculate. We're going to rally to all-time high in the next few weeks. We're going to nuke down to 70k. Nobody knows. These higher time frame, target zones is, complete BS. You need to understand there is a possibility that we can get to all-time high again in the next couple of months. The possibility is there. There's this moving average BS and this death cross BS is not going to tell you that the bear market is confirmed, because it happened in the previous cycles. So I can tell you already that the bounce here is going to be extremely important to really analyze, because this area has the potential to be the low. It has the potential, right? Not saying that the low is in here and we will be heading all-time high in the next couple of months. It has the potential. So I understand the bearish case. If we bounce up here in a very corrective manner, I'll be the first one to say, guys, it's not looking great. I'm leaning more bearish. I think the lows are going to be hit because of this, because of that, because of the other. It will be explained how we moved up here. Of course, we need that information. So we'll see. We'll see if it is going to end up being bearish, a higher probability bearish or not. On the bullish side, bear with me here, guys. Listen to this, because it's important. This is going to make the difference from other people, guys, out there. You will make the difference. If you're watching this channel, you will be different to the others. That's what you want to learn. You want to learn to be different from the majority out there that are just going to be talking about the 50-week moving average and the death cross, and all of that BS. You are here to understand the probabilities on more internal price action and understanding the bullish and the bearish case, and when probabilities change. Right, we look for the setups and the probabilities. Last week probabilities were rolling down throughout the last few days after getting the big move down and chopping. We're gonna probably chop, guys. It's not gonna be easy. We didn't have a clear setup. It could double bottom, it could fill the gap, and if it provides support, it's risky. We did drop down another extra $1,000, $2,000, right? It's just gonna be difficult, right, to catch the low if you're using too much leverage. But I understand that, yeah, it's going to be shaky, right? It's going to be a little bit bouncy, a little bit shaky here on this zone, and it's not going to be easy unless you're happy with 1%, 1%, and you're like, it's going to get an average buying zone. I am looking for the bounce in the next coming weeks, right? And I'm happy to have a stop loss, lower the prices. It depends on how you manage your risk. Eventually, everybody's different. Bearish case scenario, we talked about it. Bullish case scenario. Why does this have a possibility? Because it's countable. You can count from this major rally on the higher time frame. You can count this move up as a 3 waver. I'm sorry, you can. If you can, it can give you different possibilities. Different possibilities mean, okay, a flat here. Little bounce in a three-wave structure, and this is what's a little bit disturbing. This three-wave move up is a little bit shallow in time, and you usually want symmetry, right? This is a little bit too big of a one wave to have this as a wave X and be part of the combination. It happened a little bit too fast in time. It would have been nice to get a bit of a larger three-wave move. And then obviously this move down that we've had. A little bit longer for your wave X, a little bit longer for your wave Y. Bit more symmetrical. And that obviously does affect the probabilities. But it's not an invalidation, which is the good thing, right? The good thing, it's, the structure is what leads the market. If you have the potential of understanding the waves and the structure, time helps, but it's not 100% of the probability. You just can slightly decrease it or slightly increase it based on the timing and the symmetry of the waves. If the structure is there based on the flat three-wave up, you can count a wave W and a wave X. And this is where it looks interesting here. Now, on this example, just because I don't have another example here, and this is higher time frame, we do have a countable flat. We do have a countable zigzag to the upside to get your wave X. Your wave Y, in this case, if you have a flat, you can have either a zigzag, a triangle, or a flat. What do we have from that bounce to potentially count a wave Y? What do we have from that bounce that we had? If your wave Y can be a triangle, a flat, or a zigzag, if your wave W has been a flat, well, we got a zigzag down, right? You have a zigzaggy move to the downside. The target zone of a WXY most commonly is in between the 1-to-1 and the 1-2-3-6, and this is a higher time frame one, right? Imagine analyzing all of this. Holy crap, what the heck is going on here? We understood back in the day what was going on here, but we ain't going to talk about it. It's higher time frame stuff, guys. Do you think a lot of people were bullish here, or looking for a reversal after this capitulation, recovery, all of this? I can't remember actually how the sentiment was back here, but this is a higher time frame correction. This could be a higher time frame correction. This could be a higher time frame correction. You do have a possible count here. Now, when we get Fibonacci extension, we have all of the points here. We got the flat. Okay, cool. Zigzag and wave X, a little bit quick, but acceptable. Okay. Time only helps with probabilities. It's not saying, oh, it's too small, it's too long. It does obviously affect the probabilities, but it's very, very countable. Zigzag up, zigzag down. This would be epic to be the area to be the low, guys. It would be epic. And just because there is max fear, you're getting on all of the higher time frame invalidations have been crossed, guys. 50 weekly moving average, by the looks of things, being the most important one. In October, November, being bearish when everybody was expecting it to be bullish. It's the perfect storm. Okay, we cannot be bearish down here. I'm sorry. There's no way in a million years. I am going to be bearish, especially understanding the lower time frame Elliot Wave theory, guys. We understand that bounce to happen in the last 2 days, ever since we got the movement down here on the lower time frame, right? We understand since we get in here at the low 90k levels that a bounce is going to likely happen. The good thing about this is that this would be a possible higher time frame completion. When we take a look at the timing here, when we obviously give priority, well, not priority, but to this scenario right over here, not that one, the contracting diagonal to the upside, which is this one. When we take a look at Fibonacci time from the low of April to the highs here, we're considering this being the high of the impulse, not this one, because it had a 3-wave move up. I mean, yeah, you crossed the 382, 618, that's perfect. It's just a nice symmetrical correction compared to the move up, which is good eventually, right? It's good for the symmetry. About the target zone of this bullish case, we talked about the bearish case. Okay, we are bulls and bears. We have both faces. We do have a favorite one once we get the information. Anybody that is new, welcome. We were bearish. Well, I was mainly more leaning bearish on throughout the price action that we developed throughout the last week, mainly looking to get below 99k. Of course, we had support levels, but once you move down like this, you just need to let the price develop the wave. And throughout the last 24 to 48 hours after getting this drop throughout Friday and entering into the weekend, we're looking for the 4 in 5, 92, 91, and we hit 89. We got slightly below 90k. Okay, right? But we don't look at this point for continuation down. We don't look for a capitulation with high probability. We don't look for a big drop with high probability. Yeah, we look for the lows to chop, and we understand that based on the Elliot Wave theory scenario that we were talking about in the last 1 to 2 days. We understand that this is your end stages of a move. It's coming to the end stages. So this is seriously not a zone to get bearish and not short every single little bounce. It becomes dangerous. This is the full recovery. Well, not full recovery, but this is literally a bigger bouncing zone, because you could have had this wave completed here. And we're looking for above $98,000 in this case. So any shorts on this bounce here become a little bit dangerous. I mean, we are getting above the previous day value levels, which is looking very interesting at this moment. We are just crossing previous day value zone, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's the thing, right? We're basically getting a acceptance back inside of the previous day value area, which if you cross the value area low and the point of control and the daily open, basically, which is at the same level, you have you kind of have you have space here. You have space for the price to rally to the upside. We haven't got much resistance. We got acceptance back above the major levels of resistance from the previous day value zone. I mean, look how the price reacts at this zone, guys. Right, it is reacting. It is resistance. You're gonna chop here, but once you get clearance, then you have a little bit of rally. Not much volume. There's a little bit of volume coming into where we are at the moment, but you have a little bit of clearance here, which is basically why the price action has a bit of a relief, right? There's not much resistance in this area, and you got acceptance back above the previous day value area low point of control zone, which we got a little reaction today. So you get a bit of I would not be interested in any shorts here. Not too interested. I'm more interested in letting the price develop a little bit more, because we will have, you know, a clearer outcome, you know, in the next 24 hours. What I was going to continue here. Oh yeah, well, this even better with this scenario. When we are, you know, this is like really good. This is high potential. When I'm discussing this, if we are looking for this zigzag down here, zigzag down, right, in an ABC to finish your Y wave in a W flat X zigzag Y. What is interesting is to count the last wave down, which is obviously more impulsive than a 3-wave structure, as explained on the lower time frame, right? We do have that very clear way of counting this as an impulse. And what is interesting, eventually, if you are looking for this higher time frame corrective structure to be the one, I'm just saying, guys, it has the potential. It has the potential. And how perfect timing would it be on this structure when everything's at max fear? You've crossed the 50 weekly moving average. You got a death cross. You got, you know, man, it's the perfect storm for this zone at the low 90k levels, even getting people calling for 75k and all of this. It's the perfect storm for the strong reversal. Most of the times it is. Most of the times it is, guys. You take that with a grain of salt, guys, but we will detect a few things in the next, you know, how we're bouncing. Do we have projections? We got a bearish case. Eventually, we do have that bearish case here. Let me just put this in this folder right there. And yeah, the bearish case has been explained. Maybe it is very bearish, and we just bounce here in the next coming days with or without claiming the low. I don't really care about local time frame at the moment. You know, there is the potential of the low being in here for this relief rally to get, you know, continuation ever so slightly. It's just really, really gearing up for the breakdown. I understand that this could happen. So, but we need a bit more of a bounce. Get people bullish. And if the bounce is looking corrective, get people optimistic about the bounce. If it is going to be very choppy and corrective, then eventually we will try and detect the probabilities here and just rolling down and accept, guys. Hey, if it is going to be the most crappiest bounce with, you know, overlapping structure in the next couple of days, you know, we're just going to accept that, man, this looks horrible. We're probably just going to roll over, right? It's probably just going to roll over. So we'll have to see how it develops. We'll have to see how that bounce is developed. But you know, it's exciting to understand that you have a bullish case, right? It's exciting that, you know, to understand that you have that bullish case scenario, which is that, man, where am I? Yeah, there we go. No, not this one. Where is it? Man, I don't know what I did with that folder. I was putting things here together. That's been invalidated. Man, where did I put that folder? I don't know what I've done with it. Oh, I must have deleted it by accident. There we go. There it is. Okay. What is interesting about this as well is the target zone of a WXY. Anybody that is not aware of a potential WXY is the 1 to 1 to the 1, 2, 3, 6 most commonly. And for that, you need to get the start of your wave W to the end of the wave W. okay, which is your flat, the start of the flat to the end of the flat. And then you get all the way up to your wave X, wherever that wave X is, and your common area to bottom out, well, the target zone, not bottom out, in this case it would be bottoming out, is the 1-to-1 to the 1236, in this case in between 95 and 90k. It's just interesting based on Fibonacci targets and patterns and structures that this zone, if this count were to be correct for the bottom, you know, you're literally 90k. 90k was that such a critical area, critical zone, still is eventually, because a lot of invalidations were at 90k. You know, you're losing the big point of control, contracting diagonal from this movement down. You know, a lot of like throwing the towel at 90k because, man, it's just it, right? So, I mean, yeah, this is, it's very interesting that we are at the WXY target zone. Going through the lower time frame, we do have the potential of the low being in, guys. You know, there is the potential. Obviously, we cannot say it is it, but when we consider the scenario here of the WXY, and we have to, you know, we have to take a look at the latest waves. If you have a completion zigzag here, what can we form here? We got a zigzag down, and then what is crucial is to see if this is going to be an ABC, which is literally hitting the 1-to-1 extension, which is good. You know, 1-to-1 to the 1236, common for a C wave as well in an ABC zigzag. Analyzing this movement down, right? Really analyzing this latest move down for your possible wave C here. And that's when you understand that, you know, we're literally looking for the end stages, because you're looking for 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5. If this is part of a zigzag, that's the end, right? You're literally looking for the very bottom formations here locally, and you know, it has the potential, right? Let's just say so. And what is important right now, eventually, is the movement up on the 15-minute. So a bearish case on the higher time frame, even though we took 2 hours to talk about it, which is pretty damn crazy. Come on, man, 2 hours to talk about this and to talk about this, man. We need to be much faster and quicker, right? But obviously we try and explain a few scenarios. Let's go quickly through the comment section, because now is where we're getting into the meat and potatoes, guys. Now is where we get into this kind of content and look for the possible local time frame formation, and how we can look on, how we basically can detect the opportunities. So we're going to go right now through the 15-minute. I'm going to go quickly through the comment section just because I have to. I feel bad just talking, and it looks like I'm just... my man, Mark Dutch, much love to you, brother. How's everybody doing? Did anyone mention Umbrella? Man, got a kick in the balls with that one, I have to say. Not only Umbrella, also Cadena. I actually had a bit of Cadena somewhere in a dusty wallet. Which is another one that Umbrella and Cadena. Well, there was another crypto, I think. Oh well, Sora Network, that went down the toilet. I have had a couple of cryptos that have gone down the toilet, guys. Jackie Wood got my mother here, always giving love and support. Oh no, I was joking. Okay, you guys having a good... Devil and Andy are epic teachers. Much love, Jerome. Much love to you, brother. Huge love to you, Jerome. Say, bro, 15 days consolidation and then pump. Maybe we could consolidate for a bit. Mark Dutch, much love to you, brother. Devil also here. Staffer One was here as well. You're missing BTC pumping on the 1 minute. Yeah, very true. Very, very true. Let's go to the 15-minute time frame. It did get a little rally. Little pump here of a few $1,000s. Phew. Yeah, let's discuss this pump, because that's where things are getting important, guys. Things are getting important. Anyway, much love to everybody. Mark Dutch, much love. Devil, Staffer One, all the community. Much love to everybody, okay? Stop showing your wrench. Mark Dutch here. I'll go through comment section in a bit, guys, but I want to go through 15-minute. I did promise that some 15-minute analysis was going to be taken here. Guys, remember, also, exchanges are down below. 15% cashback on Bluffin. Great exchange, massive liquidity, $3,000, up to $3,000. If you deposit $30,000, you're getting $3,000 of cash back, okay? We're getting 15% basically, up to $3,000, depending what you deposit. That will increase your capital. Hundreds of cryptos to trade here. You even can trade gold. And BTCC has $10,000 in rewards, which you need volume to move. The more you trade, you're going to get airdrops to your exchange, okay? And that's basically increasing your capital as well, okay? Great to get those airdrops when you're trading, and you got the links down below, okay, to be eligible for those airdrops and their 15% cashback. Bluffin or BTCC Legends, another way to support the channel, but at no cost for you, okay? Let's go right away through the 15-minute time frame, and man, 15-minute time frame. What the heck? This move to the upside has been quite, relatively interesting. I tell you what, let's smash up that like button, because the like button is not doing too well. Bitcoin says, you're a genius. Finally, someone that can understand the market perfectly. Not at all, guys. I'm far away from being perfect. This is just skills that you learn throughout the years, and I'm not perfect. I do have very bad calls as well. So yeah. Anyway, let's go through the 15-minute time frame, but I need that like button, guys. I need a little bit of a boost. Let's try and get that boost all together with the like button. I'm going to go around the table, and we'll discuss this movement to the upside, which looks pretty damn interesting. It does look pretty damn interesting. And I'm kind of excited. We've got back inside of the previous value zone, which is giving us the chance of going to slightly higher levels. Because if you get acceptance above the previous value zone, a little bit of resistance here. I wasn't too fond in any short here, understanding that this could be the low. I let the people know in the pro community. Not too interested in looking for shorts right now, guys. We are interested in seeing that sign of strength. Don't worry, let the price go. If you didn't catch the lows, which was challenging throughout the last 24 hours, very challenging, guys, to catch the low here at 91, 90, 89, right? You can take that decision. A reversal was likely to happen despite breaking down a couple of $1,000 below 92K that we were discussing yesterday. Yes, it did drop below 90K. I know, guys, but regardless, not looking for a big move down, right? Capitulating down $10,000 eventually from the zone of yesterday. So let's discuss a little bit here. This is a good sign, getting above previous day value area low. But what's more important is, how are we getting up here? Muy importante. Let's go around the table, get that like button smashed. Let's get a drink of water. Legend, and then we can discuss a few scenarios together, all together. let's discuss right away with that like button smash, guys. Thank you very much. And that like button didn't even move. Let me just double check. Did we get to 300? Anyway, this movement to the upside, forget about that. This move to the upside, man, the like button didn't even move. What the heck? Anyway, it is what it is. We ain't gonna cry about it. Acceptance back above previous value range is kind of a good sign. You know what would be interesting right now is the movement to the downside. El movimiento bajista. That's what would be interesting here. El movimiento bajista. Because el movimiento alcista, the movement up from the recent lows, I have to say, we can detect a possible 5-wave move up. We like it or not, guys. It is what, you know, it is what it is. From the low, you formed a cheeky higher low right there. It formed a cheeky higher low. You got the projection to the upside here. Doesn't really matter where we put our wave 3, but you got a nice long sideways rangy formation. Can we form a 5-wave move up here? Yeah, let's just say that the third wave is here or here. It doesn't really matter. You got maybe a sideways WXY corrective structure here. You got a flat and maybe another flat here, and then, you know, maybe a little, you know, zigzagging down. Or, you know, it doesn't really matter. We don't need to go to the 1 minute time frame, but you can see how we developed this structure to the upside, possibly with an expanding 5th wave. What is important, that the first bounce that we had from the low here at 89k formed a higher low. We did not claim the low here. That's the most important thing. And the most important thing, that to get this break up to the upside, we got this movement up and we got this long consolidation that did not come down and overlap this pivot. That's the most important thing here, to consider that we got a sign of strength. This is the first sign of strength that we've had. Proper one, basically, in this downtrend of the last week, couple of weeks. Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, this is the 15 minute. Come on. You know, would be lying. You know, we did get some other bigger bounces in the last couple of weeks, but this is actually a good sign. Extended 5th wave possibly could extend. You know, I would say, you know, this is the early stages. It doesn't really matter how the price develops, you know, in the next 24 hours. Maybe this goes slightly higher. It doesn't matter, guys. You know, maybe this, I wouldn't class this as a double 1-2, because, you know, this wave is pretty longer. But I would say that this could stretch its legs a little bit longer. But what is going to be important here, yeah, expanding 5th wave, that's all okay. You could even, well, I mean, you know, let's just say, if this continues going up to 94, 95k, 96k, doesn't matter, it will pull back. Whoops, sorry about that. It will pull back, getting a bit of hiccups and burps at the same time. It will, sorry about that, guys. It will pull back at some point. So you could have a double 1-2 here. I wouldn't class that. But if you were to continue up, volume kicks in, and then you get correction, boom, correction, bang, right? Then we can label this as wave 3. We just need a bit of more information. This could be the end. This could be a 5-waver. You can count one here. You can count one. And this is perfect for a wave 4. Nice, long, and stretchy. That's what you want to see on wave 4s. You want them to stretch out, right? As this one right over here that we explained on slightly higher time frames. You want wave 4s to stretch out a little bit. It's very, very common for them to stretch out, right? So if we are labeling this movement down, as explained, throughout the beginning of the stream. Got a couple 1, 2, 3. You got like your fourth wave to stretch out a little bit. Stretch it out. Bit of sideways momentum, right? If you compare your wave 4 in this zone, you can see it stretches out. It stretches compared to these waves, right? Your wave 2s that are relatively faster in time. You like wave 4s to stretch out. And then eventually after your wave 5, you're looking for the reversal, right? So on I'm just giving the explanation here for the lower time frame. So it's nice to stretch out here a little bit. This might not even be a wave 4. It might be a wave 1 and 2. It might be 1, 2, 1, 2. You get 3, 4, 5. You know, you maybe get this kind of price action throughout the next coming hours. I don't know. What I do know is that this move to the upside will pull back at some point. That's what I do know. No matter if you get to 94, 95, 96, I don't care. It doesn't matter. The price will eventually pull back at some point. Because we ain't going to go up to all-time high in a straight line, right? Or are we? Right? We ain't going to do this, right? We ain't going to like... I don't think so. You know, price moves in waves. Price moves in waves. So there will be a pullback moment. And that's what we want to be patient about. Could the pullback start from here? Maybe it does. Maybe it does. Do I need to know? I mean, we don't have much resistance here, I have to say. We're back inside previous value zone. Yeah, I wouldn't be a fan of looking for a short here. You just don't have enough confluence. Yeah, don't have enough confluence. We do have a pivot low right now with a nice relief. I'll tell you what. Yeah, I'll take a look at that super chat in a minute. But come on, we've got a lot of people here looking at the different projections that we could be looking for in the next 24 hours for a possible setup here. The VWAP is coming down very low at this moment. The session VWAP of the day is coming down very low. I would arguably discuss that the anchored VWAP is the same from the pivot low. Almost the same. Yeah, around about the same. So the VWAP is coming down here. VWAP is going to be a good guidance, okay? It's going to be a good guidance where it is at the moment to see if you lose it and you reclaim it, right? The good thing about this session VWAP or the anchored VWAP from the low, which is literally the same VWAP almost, just because of the time, it's just a session VWAP. It's from a range of last 24 hours. It's coming down at the previous day value area low and the previous day point of control zone and today's point of control. This becomes an order block right now on the slightly higher time frame. It is extremely important for the price of Bitcoin to not lose the lows of this order block. Yeah, you can come down at some point to test this zone, and it would be ideal to do it maybe in the next coming hours. Maybe we do it, stretch our legs a little bit more, as explained. You know, this is a speculation 5-wave move up. It doesn't have to be like this. As explained, it could be a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. You grind up for a little bit more, and then you get the move down, which looks like it's going to roll over and claim the lows, right? That's what we want to see. You know, the thing is, rolling down and coming down to this area would be ideal to really see proof of support, analyze how we came down there. If you get that relief and a bit of overlap structure, I mean, this would be the ideal price action that you would want to see to understand that obviously this is correction. You know, unlikely that we claim this low once you get this kind of price action. Of course, will the market give me this price action? Maybe not, right? But for the moment, that's the idea that we would like to see eventually. Regardless if this is 1, 2, 3, nice 4, nice sideways, stretched out fifth wave. And then the price action to the downside, the sweet spot, the guideline zone, look no further. Daily open, today's point of control, okay? Order block on the slightly higher time frame, right, from this little zone, right? If you do zoom to the 1 hourly, more like the 4 hourly, maybe the 2 hourly, we'll find that order block. There we go. It's a 2 hour order block, right? You can look for it, but you got a consolidation. Every time you get a consolidation, you're gonna have some kind of an order block on the higher time frame. So yeah, this becomes your barrier. You got a little bit of a consolidation here, a little bit of a consolidation here today. You got acceptance back above the previous day value zone. This is crucial. You don't want to lose it. You don't want to lose 91.2. Let's give it a bit of room. 91k, because you always get the fake out attempts. One aggressive long position would be sweeping up the lows of the order block at 90.8k. That I would class as a valid aggressive entry after this leg to the upside. This will not be the moment if you roll over to panic. This will be the moment to understand where the opportunities lie to give a possibility of a higher low, which kind of sounds silly right now because the market's so bearish and everything's so bearish. But as explained, there is potential of the low being in here, guys. I'm sorry to be the one coming out here that's not calling for 75k with the local price action, which is what we are interested in, to look for entry points, because how nice would it be to be in a short position from 107k, right? Or, you know, or from higher levels, right? Which, although most of the profit should be taken at this point already, right? Would be nice to be in that short, right? Would be nice to be in a long if the price does decide to go, you know, above 100k in the next coming days. And that's what we try and detect the opportunities, right? How to execute them, how to be ready with a plan. So as we do have the possibility of a 5-wave move up or a 5-wave being developed, getting developed, right? Because as explained, you know, that there is a possibility of, you know, maybe your wave 5 ends up here and your wave 4 here, and this is still forming the wave 3, right? Maybe we do stretch our legs a little bit more, right? With a 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5, and then that's your impulse. Maybe it goes a little bit higher. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But what we're looking for, it doesn't matter. We're looking for a pullback into very crucial zones of support at some point, right? You don't need to time the exact moment where that reversal happens. You just understand this momentum will end up at some point. It's going to end up at some point claiming 96k or topping out here just under 94k. It's going to move back down at some point. And that movement down at some point is where you need to be ready with the plans, with Fibonacci, with internal levels of support that you have reclaimed as resistance. And the first sign is we're back inside previous value zone, which today we have struggled, right? We have struggled to get above the value area low and the point of control today, guys. We had a consolidation. We struggled to get above it. This is resistance. We got proven it was resistance. If you come down here, you should flip it as support. If you don't, well then, yeah, we break down, we claim the lows, we break down. But this would be the zone of interest to literally, you know, speculate on, you know, how do we get down there? There's the aggressive long scenarios, right? SFP of the lows, 90.8k. That's aggressive. If you lose that level, then I just wouldn't be interested in having a long trade here, guys. I would not be interested if the price does lose 90.8k. So you need to understand your valid entry zone and where you do not want to be in a trade. Because we could speculate on a correction and a higher low here. And the people that do not trade responsibly and do not close or have a stop loss, obviously being aware of the SFP, if the price really breaks down and really continues in this zone, the risks of claiming the low are very, they are high. So you can dip beneath this low, but you need reclaims. And that's, the reclaims are literally the sweet spot, because getting into a 3-wave correction at the exact low of a C wave, unless you have a very strong confluence or a good SFP and the golden pocket potentially, which is, exactly where the SFP level is. I mean, it's a good level of confluence, VWAP as well, lows of the order block, golden pocket, sweet spot, guys. I mean, that's the decision zone to take that SFP. But what is even better is a reclaim. A reclaim, a confirmed reclaim. You got the bottom catchers, okay, which they are the aggressive traders. If we were to come down here, if you break it, you break it, guys. There's no more to it. And you have the confirmation traders, right, where you reclaim the level. We got previous day value area low, previous day point of control, today's point of control, the anchored VWAP or the session VWAP, doesn't really matter. Coming into this zone, you got this order block that's been proven to be resistance, right? Because of the previous day value area low and the point of control, right? If you ask yourself, why did we consolidate here? Well, you just need to look at this, right? That's why we consolidated. There's no more to it, right? That's why the price really struggled here. So if you get back down, you want to not lose this zone. You got a couple of options. The aggressive option, look for the SFP. The bottom catchers, the SFP aggressive traders that are in front of the chart and will take the chance if you get the reaction at the lows. And then you have the confirmation, which is reclaiming and overlapping this zone where you will confirm that this movement down has been a 3-wave structure. That's the confirmation reclaim. And you can long here, you can long here, you can long here. It doesn't matter. You can long anywhere in this area if you wish, with stop loss, beneath the low. And, you are projecting much higher prices throughout the next coming days. But that would give you a confirmation entry to at least test the local highs. Obviously, the profit's not looking too great, but you would at least give the projection of forming a larger 3-wave structure to move up to 97, 98, maybe 100k, which eventually, you're giving the chance of a solid entry to get into a good trade and get the breakout, and then obviously start protecting eventually, right? Just to give that swing possible reversal. So obviously, if you can get into a pullbacky structure here, you would eventually look for the pullback, even though you get the first rally, because inevitably what you would be looking for is the price to move up in waves later on, right? But this would be the detection of confirmation here. Lose the previous day value area low, point of control, come down to this zone, order block, sweep the lows. This is going to be the area that the price could potentially bounce, regardless if it's this or this. It doesn't really matter where this movement up finishes, guys, as explained. This is going to be the zone for the price to form a higher low, with fake outs at the low or not. Reclaims is important. A reclaim of this area And a reclaim, you need to be a little bit patient. A reclaim would be bam, bam, bang, right? And then back up. That would be a solid reclaim. And that's the decision moment. Manage risk. This has the possibility of projecting to the upside. So yeah, this is the zone. It's the zone. Make sure to understand the waves and how we move down there. Of course, if we move down like this, and then we do this, you know, we're not too interested, right? You just wouldn't be, you wouldn't be interested, right? If you just start crossing the zone like waterfall, you would have to sit on your hands. But if at some point after finishing this, you move like this, then we got something, right? Then you have something and you're like, you know what? This actually looks pretty okay. You got a possible impulse move up. You got a possible corrective structure because your third wave got a reaction. That's the moment where this looks, you know, you got a moment of decision here. Because you don't want to be bullish when you get to, you know, 98k. You want to be in that movement, because this is when you're going to get all of the bull market is back, and you're still below 100k, but regardless, it would be a nice little pump which is going to bring hope to the people out there. And you want to be in that rally, right? You want to be in that rally. And the only good zone is coming down to the 50% to the 7/8 Fibonacci from this pivot low to wherever the pivot high is. And, you know, that is the zone that needs to be analyzed. And there's only a couple of ways to look at it. You do this and you nuke down, you know, that's it, guys. Forget about it. You have the SFP from this higher low. It's an option. It's the only aggressive option that I would see. SFP from 90.8k. And the more conservative one eventually would be that reclaim. Get back above value area low, point of control of today, VWAP, you know, finding support, fake out. And that's when you can take that decision eventually for that long trade and that possible wave 3 here, right? Or wave C. It doesn't matter if it is a larger time frame zigzag or if it's, you know, you're looking for the third wave potential, regardless if it will rocket or if it will just get to 97, 98k. We don't know. But that is the projection idea here of this setup. So yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't give you something instant to get into a trade right now, but there's just nothing relevant at this point. Legend, let's go through the comment section. So that's a little bit it. Okay, this has good potential. It's still moving up. It could still grind to the upside as explained. The pullback will be interesting to analyze whenever it happens. Let's go through the comment section, and you got a super chat here. Can you please take a look at Filecoin? Make sure to destroy the like button, guys. Thanks for the like button. Okay, we like to explain the scenarios as well. If we would have had that price action already, then yeah, we could have talked about it more in detail, that this could happen in the next coming minutes, right? But we don't always. We need to wait. We need to get into high probability trades, and that's what I would want to see. The pullback is most important. Once we have it, and maybe on the stream we have the information, and we kind of try and build the map together and talk about the levels of support that we don't want to lose and how the price needs to develop, right? To kind of have an idea of how we're looking for that setup. And look no further. With the information that we have, we can project the information that we could get. It doesn't matter how high we go here. It doesn't matter, you know, wait for a possible pullback that could happen. And with that pullback, you will, you know, with experience, you will manage to spot the opportunity. Of course, you just need to be very, very patient. So yeah, that's a little bit of the information here based on Bitcoin. We can't, I'm not too interested in shorts here, guys, just because on higher time frame, I'm seriously, as explained in the last 1 to 2 days, when we've been trading here at the very low 90k levels, you know, I am looking for that reversal. There's high probability based on this movement. And, you know, the shorts was last week, guys. Shorts were last week. Take profits as you lose 99K. Longs are looking very attractive at the moment. And, yeah, just be aware of that. You know, anybody that's looking to get into new shorts, here is, you know, of course we are downtrending and we are bearish still, okay? I cannot deny that. But longs are starting to look attractive. Longs were not attractive here last week. Longs were not attractive here last week. You know, but once we got this completion and we got a little bounce, it's just a very small bounce, but it has the potential of being a 5-waver. It's all about having the potential. Because then, you know, then if we do correct down and we do form this kind of, you know, we do form a higher low and we do reclaim those levels of, you know, support that we have here without losing it. We had a little inverted head and shoulder here, if you wish. You had a little bit of an inverted head and shoulder with a descending neckline. So you know, if you come back down to this area, guys, you know, let's see, right? Let's see. But this would be the obviously the wave formation, right? We always try and speculate on the waves, right? On the waves, what could happen. And obviously this would be a larger inverted head and shoulder, right? So and the best opportunities are at max panic zone, guys, right? If we were to roll over from here and trade down beneath this level, nobody wants to long here, right? Nobody wants to. I don't want to be the one that's longing if this low is going to be claimed. So a reclaim of this area after that 3-waver is going to be literally the confirmation. That's where you want to jump in before the big move happens, right? There's the market gives you those opportunities, but not many. And if you don't get that one, then it might take a few days till you get the next higher probability setup, right? So anyway, that's a little bit of it, guys. This is the really what I can give you today, based on you know, the patience. You don't want to lose this area successfully, and if you do so, you want a quick reclaim. And for the moment, you know, this could continue up, right? You could literally be forming the 3rd wave. You could still be developing the 3rd wave here, but so far it looks pretty damn good, guys. As explained, I do expect the price to recover to the 9,900K levels, I would say, in this area in the next coming days. That does not mean that you need a long here eventually, right? It's a bad idea to long here. So unless you kind of catch the low in the last 24 hours, or you're in an average zone, or, you know, then that's okay. If not, we wait for the pullback at some point. Preferably we do have that pullback before we get to 97K plus, right? Before we tap these lower highs, it would be nice to get that pullback before. So let's see if that does happen. Let's go through comment section. I do have a super chat here on Filecoin. Can you take a look at Filecoin? Why not? Let's take a look at Filecoin here for my man. Thanks for the super chat. Right away, let's go through Filecoin. Filecoin. Oof. What can we say about Filecoin? Big pump and dump. We also got, somebody asked for ICP here as well. Let's take a look at ICP. Let's get this out of the way. I'll talk about Filecoin, but I think ICP is like similar. We've got a few altcoins, OG good projects. ICP not doing that bad. Not doing that bad, actually. Yeah, it's very similar, right? We got a bunch, you know, a dozen of altcoins that got a significant rally after the crash. Not all of them, only a bunch of them. It seems like Filecoin has been one of them. that got a big rally to sweep up the highs of 2025 range. Not all of them did this rally. ICP did it. Filecoin did it by the looks of things. And another bunch did this move up as well. So the problem here with this is we did not range at support. We just slowly staircase here to the downside. And yeah, this did not backtest this area of the point of control and value area low, unfortunately, and we actually lost it, and it's providing resistance at the moment. So not the best, not the best. It just rolled over, no range. It would have been nice to bottom out like we're kind of doing here, but on top of this area. That would have been nice to see, but that didn't, you know, eventually didn't happen. You just went straight through down here. Very difficult and unpredictable, these altcoins, I have to say. Much better to trade Bitcoin. As mentioned, Bitcoin is much easier to trade than altcoins, at least for me anyway. And, you know, the good thing about ICP is sitting at the point of control value area low of this zone, which is what it, you know, that one did provide support. Got a little reaction. Filecoin lost this zone, so a reclaim of this area could be a sign of strength. Let's leave it that way. Okay, a reclaim, a big shoot up, a reclaim of this area would be interesting to consider. The price is going to recover, but as we are beneath this zone. We're just beneath the point of control and the value area low of the zone, guys. What can I say? Very unpredictable based on waves right now. It's just a big short squeeze and obviously a big down. A lot of bearishness at the moment. So does it have potential bottoming out? I mean, it is rolling down here. It is the correction that we had in the last week is rolling here and kind of losing steam. So, you know, you could expect this to possibly be bottoming in this area, claim the lows a few more times maybe, right? But it does look good for that reversal. But as explained, you got a little pump here into the resistance, just a quick pump and dump. So yeah, not much that I could provide here on ICP, on Filecoin. Getting back above in this zone, boom, and then, you know, that could be interesting. But these altcoins can shoot up, they can shoot down. You know, I just don't want to talk about possible setups on these cryptos. Anyway, legends, ICP would be a good one. ICP is at basically the support of the entire year of 2025, basically point of control value area low. ICP looks pretty good to possibly bottom out here, but you get the deal, right? Bear market or not, I still hold a significant chunk of ICP. I sold a bit up here, as explained, to get my money back, at least. And then we have a free moon bag, where, you know, just let, you know, like I said, I have this as a long-term investment kind of thing. So not too fussy. I'm not too fussy of trading it. But yeah, this is at support. What do you think about Fetch AI? I have no thoughts on that. Fetch AI, FET, right? Yeah, FET. Let's take a look at FET right away here. Why not? I mean, this one, yeah, this got that short squeeze also in the last week basically. Yeah, it does look okay actually. We got also getting this bounce in the last few hours. Yeah, Fetch AI does, you know, got a bit of a bottom formation after testing this low, right? A bit of bottoming zone here, and it's getting that pop. So yeah, you could speculate that Filecoin, I mean, this has been brutally, you know, obviously like most of the altcoins. I wouldn't consider this area to be bearish. got a first major move up here, which can give you those early signs, even though I know the sentiment is down the toilet, guys. I understand that sentiment is on the down the toilet at the moment. Sentiment, you know when sentiment will be bullish? When we're uptrending, that's when it will be bullish. Down here right now, obviously, Fetch AI has a good, you know, it does look okay. Move down looks very corrective. It has bottomed out a little bit here. You know, you got this nice little range zone. I mean, this is what you want to look for. You know, back testing, wrong tool here. Back testing this area, right? I mean, there you have it. There's the zone where you like to see the back test. From that consolidating downtrend, you got a high volume node, you break above it, and preferably you bottom out at it, which did not happen to Filecoin, unfortunately. But this was a fast move down. There was no bottom signals. You got the bottom signals beneath the point of control, but yeah, it's acting as resistance. Anyway, we're not altcoin experts. We do mainly focus on Bitcoin. Pay attention, guys, to see what happens here. Looks like we could correct down. This is the zone of interest. Thank you very much for joining, guys. Smashing up the like button. We've done today. I don't know how long we've been today, but it's been a long time. Remember that you got all of those nice links down below, okay, for bluffing or for BTCC. You get the biggest bonus available, $10,000 in rewards on BTCC. You can trade gold and stock market here, guys. And on bluffing, 15% cash back on your deposit. Check out the links down below, guys, to claim those bonuses. Another way to support the channel, and another way, you know, basically at no cost at all. So you just get the bonuses eventually for you. Much love, baby genius. Joshua, much love, everybody. Stay safe. We got a plan for BTC. Let's see if it does come to fruition. Much love, and I'll see you tomorrow.